I never thought I'd be in this situation. I 31M and my wife 29F had a baby last December. It was a traumatic birth, and my wife developed postpartum depression. My wife and her best friend accused me of having an affair, and then got angry when it turned out I didn't have one. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm still trying to make sense of it all. Let me start from the beginning. My wife and I had a baby last December. The birth was traumatic, and my wife developed postpartum depression. We had originally planned for her to go back to work, but her struggles led us to decide she'd stay home until our daughter turned 1. She's been going to therapy weekly, which I fully support. With my wife at home full-time, I've had to increase my work hours. We discussed this beforehand, and she understood the necessity. A few weeks ago, my boss approached me about a project that would require a lot of overtime, but would be great for our finances and my career. I talked it over with my wife, and she agreed I should take it on. For the 4 weeks of the project, my mother-in-law and my wife's best friend, Jessie, would help out with some of my usual duties. Jessie, a stay-at-home mom herself, started coming over during the day to watch the kids with my wife. 3 weeks into the project, it became clear we'd need a few more weeks to complete it. I went home that night and discussed it with my wife. She said she was okay with it, but I noticed she became colder in the days that followed. I tried not to take it personally, as her mood had been fluctuating due to her PPD. One night, during the last week of the project, I came home to find Jessie still at the house. I said hi to both of them and went to check on our daughter. Before I could reach her room, I overheard Jessie say something like, "He doesn't even stop to greet you." Definitely a sign. I turned around and asked what she meant. Suddenly, my wife burst into tears, and Jessie started accusing me of having an affair. She claimed I must hate my wife because of her PPD, and that I was unattracted to her due to pregnancy, weight gain. None of this was true. I've been doing my best to support my wife through her PPD, while providing for our family, and I think she looks beautiful. She just hasn't wanted to be intimate, which I've respected. Jessie demanded to see my phone. When I refused, she said it was proof of my guilt. I told my wife I'd let her see it if she wanted to. She nodded, and something inside me broke. The realization that she actually believed I might be cheating, after everything we've been through, hit me hard. My wife looked through the phone and found nothing. Jessie then accused me of deleting the evidence. She started screaming, waking our daughter. I told Jessie to leave, then went to comfort our baby while my wife cried on the couch. After putting our daughter back to sleep, I sat down with my wife to talk. She admitted she'd been worried since I started working overtime. I reminded her that we'd discussed the opportunity and she had agreed. She said the extended project length seemed suspicious. I showed her work messages, emails, and pay stubs to prove I was actually working. She apologized for doubting me and explained that Jessie had been telling her these were all signs of cheating. When I asked why she believed Jessie over me and why she didn't come to me with her concerns, she couldn't give me a real answer. It's been a couple of weeks since then. The project is over, and I've actually scaled back my hours to spend more time with my family. But I feel burnt out and resentful. I can't shake the knowledge that my wife doesn't trust me. I keep wondering what will happen the next time I have a project, run errands, or go on a business trip. Will I always come home to accusations of infidelity? I've tried to bring it up a few times, but my wife says it's not the right time, that she's tired or sad. I try to be mindful of her feelings, but I'm starting to wonder if that means I'm not allowed to have any of my own. I'm at a loss for what to do next. How can I move forward from this? How do I rebuild trust with my wife? And how do I deal with Jesse's influence on our relationship? I decided to take some of the advice I received and focus on my own mental health. That night, I told my wife I was going to find a therapist. I didn't connect it to her accusations, just said I was having a tough time and needed help. She just shrugged and told me to do whatever. The next day, I came home from work to find our bedroom and my home office in complete disarray. Things were everywhere, important papers scattered about. I couldn't find my wife, but our daughter was alone in her room, crying. My wife had left her by herself, and her cell phone was off. I called my in-laws and friends, but no one had seen her. Worried, I called my mom to see if she could babysit while I went out to look for my wife. Before my mom could arrive, my wife returned, with Jesse driving. Jesse didn't come in, but my wife did. She was visibly upset and had been crying. When I asked what happened, thinking we might have been robbed, she started screaming accusations of infidelity at me. She claimed the therapy was just a front to meet my non-existent mistress. I tried to calm her down and explain that wasn't true, but she came at me and hit me, breaking my nose. She seemed to realize what she'd done and just sat on the couch, staring blankly at the wall. I went into my daughter's room and locked the door. I called my mom to update her and asked my mother-in-law to come take care of my wife. I packed a bag for my daughter, and when my mom arrived, we left. My wife didn't even look up. We dropped my daughter off with my dad and went to urgent care for my nose. My daughter and I are staying with my parents for now, and my wife is with hers. I'm looking into getting a restraining order against Jesse. My wife and I are separating. I love her, but I can't live with someone who hurts me and could potentially hurt our daughter. I'm not filing for divorce yet, hoping my wife will get the treatment she needs and we can work things out. My in-laws are considering inpatient treatment at a local hospital. I've documented everything in case of a future custody battle. My heart is broken because I know this isn't really my wife. It's her illness. But I need to keep myself and our daughter safe while giving her space to recover. I hope I'm making the right decision. The situation took a tragic turn on Monday morning when my wife passed away. Convinced by Jesse that I was having an affair, she had a mental break. This led to my taking our infant daughter to stay with my parents, while my wife stayed with hers, planning for inpatient treatment. On Sunday night, she came to my parents' house demanding I give her our daughter. I refused because of her recent behavior, but offered to let her spend time with the baby while we were present. She left upset. A few hours later, she drove her parents' car into a tree and died. Yesterday, Jessie came to see my daughter and me. After some tears, she informed me that she was planning to speak at my wife's funeral, having already gotten approval from my in-laws. I told her she would not be speaking. We argued, and she left after calling me an asshole and saying I wasn't the only one who loved my wife. I spoke with my in-laws, who insist that Jessie be allowed to speak. They're close to her, as she and my wife were childhood friends. We're all fragile right now, and I'm worried that pushing this issue might damage my relationship with my in-law. But the thought of Jessie speaking at the funeral makes me sick, knowing how she contributed to my wife's deteriorating mental health and even left our daughter alone that one time. I don't trust my judgment right now. My mind is clouded by grief, guilt, and fear. My parents are divided on what to do, and I don't have the energy to reach out to friends, so I'm turning to you again for advice. What should I do about Jesse speaking at the funeral? How do I navigate this situation while dealing with my own grief and caring for my daughter? Any guidance would be appreciated as I try to make sense of this tragedy and move forward.